Today we are going to understand the broadcast receiver. So in Android, uh, the prerequisite you should know what is broadcast receiver. So it's in my opinion it's simply a observer pattern at a kernel level, and you can register with that, and then you can get the notification from the kernel. Also, it's customizable, so you can create your own broadcast receivers. But we will jump in, and what we will do, we will try to prove that yes, that is a observer pattern. So for that we will start. So first I'll go with broadcast receiver. So this is the first API, and I will open command 7. So what is this API? Base class for code that receives and handles broadcast intents. Okay, send by send broadcast. You can either dynamically register instance of this class or statically declare an implementation with the receiver tag. Yes, so there are two ways you can read on a developer guide. So what is this? Maybe what we can do, we can try to first implement to understand. So if I'm going to implement one broadcast receiver, I can register directly like this, hey broadcast receiver. Then I will create, for now I'm creating anonymous, but BROAD broadcast receiver, and I need to put the intent filter. What kind of broadcast receiver am I interested in? For example, boot, the OS boot completed, or network is gone, or maybe network is connected back. So any kind of that. So that is a broadcast receiver, and this code will be executed once that event happen, maybe at a kernel level, maybe at an app level. It depends on our intent filter how we are going to register. So that is a broadcast receiver. Now this API is saying, okay, I am an abstract class. So in that case, it's saying we need to implement which method. So there are ton of information, but I think we will go only with this method, which is more related to us on receive. So in case of a on receive, this one is a broadcast. Then so this, and it's saying, okay, this method is called when the broadcast receiver is receiving an intent broadcast and blah blah blah. So we are looking for this. So now we are going to check how behind the scene it's working. So basically in this case, register receiver, it's calling from the, if I'm not wrong, from activity context. So as we go back, you can see, yeah, so you can see it's a context wrapper. So I'm sure you guys know the context. Activity has a different context than the application and then the service. And if you are not aware of that, you can watch my other video where we discuss the context API, how under the hood is implemented. So I'm not going into that detail, only we will directly go into this. So basically it's saying register receiver M base. So it's delegate, just like we discussed, that is a decorator pattern or a proxy implementation. So now I need to figure out what is this M base. And in that video we already discussed this M base. Basically we settle down, we do set at attach base context. So in case of a main activity, I need to go into activity, and in that activity, this one I need to found on attach method, and this one is attach method. So this one is called, and who is calling this? I can directly go, because now I remember after doing 5 or 6 videos on OS Android API platform. But again, if you are new and this is first video for you, I will do the whole process. So in case of this attach, as like I'm not able to figure it out by using find uses, so I can go into the project, Android project, the repository, and I can put here, and then I can ask, okay, please show me, okay, activ activity, and I'll say go to this activity and then found attach method, and there are too many attach keywords, so I will say minimum, I think so this one will be enough. So we figure it out. Now I will click here, and then I will found how many classes or who is invoking this method. So this one is definition, okay, annotation. So there are activity thread which I am already aware of. So I will go and click perform. In activity thread we have this method. So what I can do, uh, I will go into the activity thread and we can open this activity thread. And this is a pretty important class, just like we discussed in previous 3-4 videos. So I will skip that. What is the importance of this class? And I'm going to check perform launch activity. uh, Perform launch activity. So there is the method. And then here I remember this one. So here we are creating a context, and then after that basically we are calling from here. So I can go inside of this method. Now we can see who is making this. So now we can find out this is the basically under the hood method who is creating context for activity. Again, remember there is a difference between the application context and activity. Behind the scene the base class is same, context API, but both are different, implementations are different. So in this case we are here, and now I'm looking for basically what we are looking for. This register receiver is called from this context wrapper, and in this case context wrapper is getting our context from this API create activity context. So I need to figure it out. In this case, this is a static method and this is a context impl class. It means the register receiver should be the part of this class. We can check if there is any method written by register receiver. So we can check there are multiple of them. So this one is calling this one, okay, overload it, and then this chaining, and now again. So this is going back to the context wrapper, which makes sense. Okay, so now activity thread is giving us this app context, and then from here we launch that. So now I want to understand the implementation of a register receiver. So who is calling this method? And we can see there are multiple methods. So how to figure it out who is calling this? Because this one is super means context wrapper, and context wrapper is already have a, composition of a context. So m base in case of an activity thread, I will go back and then I will read little bit more, somehow figure it out where we are registering this. So is this called only once? Yes, it's called only once. Then is there register receiver method? So there is unregister send message, but there is register on activity, and we have different registers. So now we are confused where this register method is, the implementation basically. And this one, because this one so yeah, one more thing, because I enable this show inherited, that's why it's showing me. So when I open, it's saying okay, register receiver method is there, but it's not directly part of the activity. Instead, this is the activities extends from some class from where it's coming. So I'm again trying to do that the same step which I did first, because I'm still struggling to figure it out from where it's coming. And it's saying okay, I'm only calling in a m base. So now I need to figure it out, m base. And m base is we are getting from here, and I found attach. There will be, I remember it's written like private API, something like that. Activity, this one is attach. So once this is called, and activity dot attach, so we are getting here. And what is this method? Perform launch activity. Once the attachment is done, this is my context. This one is my context, we are sure. Then now once I'm going inside of this, now I'm struggling to figure it out where we are getting this context. So this one is a method where we are now, and then after that I found this one is also context creation. Then I found here, and currently we are in a context impl, and I don't see where we are. Okay, there is register receiver, and now this is the register receiver. So we are here in a context impl, which has internal one which is called, okay, this is private register receiver internal. So all those are calling the same method, so it's chaining. And then inside of this, what is going on, what is rd? Rd is a I intent receiver. I think we should read this. What is this? Okay, it's not available here, so I can go back, I can check. Okay, oh man, so this is AIDL. It's going to be for me kind of challenging, because so AIDL is the Android interface. uh, I forgot the whole, what is that? AIDL, Android interface. AIDL, Android interface definition language. And the main, when we write something in AIDL, basically we are trying to do the inter-process communication between the app and the kernel, or maybe the terminology they use, server and the client. Client is our app and the server is more like not only kernel, more than that, the OS, the running OS. And in that case, as you guys are aware of, every time when you call the get system service and we give some constant context dot network or anything, it's basically we do start the interprocess communication. Like I can show you, I will say, okay, get system service, and I'm now going to give some context, maybe activity service or any service. So basically this will go, and this, as per my knowledge, under the hood, that will go to start AIDL, and then it will get that service from the OS or a kernel. I'm confused the terminology which is good, kernel or OS or a server, but somehow it's not a part of a app or a process, it's coming from the outside. That is why it's called IPC, interprocess communication. So in that case, AIDL, I think so, in between is the contract between the client and the server. So coming back to this, we found this is okay, system private API for dispatching intent broadcast. This is given to the activity manager as part of registering for an intent broadcast, and is called when it receives intent. So from this the documentation, as per my understanding, is more like, okay, once we do the register, basically when we do the register a broadcast receiver, that is mostly not like a app level, it's always moving towards the according to this definition, activity manager, and part of registering for an intent broadcast, and it receives called, because some broadcast receiver, like they are like the at a kernel level. So if there are 6 apps and they register to that, all of them will get that information. So I think once this one is called, that is going to register under the hood. And then, but still we need to figure it out where it's registering, like there should be some kind of observer pattern implementation. So we are still there. RD is kind of not 100% sure, but it look like, okay, at a server and client, at a AIDL level, interprocess communication level, they are registering against this RD. We send the information as a broadcast receiver, and after that they are doing something. Okay, then they're saying, okay, if receiver is not null, it means then do some information, and not interested in this. And in the end, they are initializing RD, intent receiver, from 2 ways. One is the package info, get receiver dispatcher. I'm not going inside of this, and again I'm not going. It looked like to me loaded APK. We remember, I remember we discussed this class in when we discussed about the zygote and the main method. At that time we know loaded APK has the information about the APK class, so maybe that is from where they are getting those broadcast receiver which we register in a manifest. Again, that is my hunch. Then moving next, this one is okay. So now what happened, activity manager dot get service. So basically it's calling activity manager service. Now I memorize this because every time when I saw something get service and the class name, I need to put only a service and I will get the object which is available in a kernel. So I will say activity manager service dot java. So basically, when this is calling, this is called get service. It's going to be to the interprocess communication, but basically it will get activity manager, which is this, the object of this. And then we are saying, okay, call this. So at this point, when we call this, and why it's not available, this method is not here. So what happened? Get service, I activity manager. Oh, this, oh, sorry, it's the account manager service. I'm looking for activity manager service. Activity manager service, this one. And I need to found this method. So this method is this. Okay. Now here, what is going on? We have sticky intents, process record. If you guys remember in Zygote, we saw every app have one process record. Then after that, from here, it's getting more information, get record. Now it look more enjoyable, like wow, now we know a lot of things. And then going there down, caller app, packages, instant app. I'm not sure if this is the app, instant app, the concept which they launched some years ago, and I think it's deprecated now. uh, then what is interesting for us? Sticky, we don't care. We are looking for the implementation of observer pattern. And thread, this one is saying receiver list, m register receivers dot get receiver dot as binder. What is this m register receiver? Okay, keep tracks of all I intent receivers that have been registered for broadcast. Hash keys are the receiver I binder. Hash value is the receiver list. Okay, so one thing, this one is kind of a server side or a kernel level thing. Again, sorry for the terminology, but like a globally available at a OS lifecycle. Until you will restart, this is already available there. So by doing that, we are saying, okay, every time when someone do the register, so we saw I intend receiver. So once we register the broadcast receiver, we are sending, and then under the hood, the process will call the interprocess communication by using AIDL, which is this interface. And then they are saying we are saving all that information in this hash map against this key. And maybe we can read a little bit what is receiver list. So our receiver object that has registered for one or more broadcasts. Okay, now going back to from where we come. Sorry, I forgot the line number. So we are here, then we come to this, and somewhere here we saw the receiver list. So until, yeah, so basically it's a hash map. I will get the RL. If that RL is null, then else if will run. So we will see both, but first I will check. Okay, if RL is equal to null, then what is saying, okay, create a new receiver list. So I think it means when I do the register first time, then it's null, it will get the new register list. And then after that, checking some checks, and then total receiver. Oh wow, I'm not, I never know about this check. So, okay, so this is something new. So basically they are saying total receivers for app, if greater than equal to this, throw an exception. Okay, nice. And how many? So, okay, so one app can register only 1000 receivers. Okay. Yeah, don't ask this question in an interview, but it's good. I think we should try to to execute this code. So 1000 receivers. So it means if I do this for 0 until 2000, if I understand correctly, this should crash. Running, it's crashing. Okay, nice. And so the exception is too many receivers. Total of 1000 registered for PID call. Oh, nice. So if you see, the message is same. Too many receivers. Total of 1000, register for PID, blah blah blah. Okay, great. So I think so now we can confirm two things. Until now, what we explore, that is going pretty good. So now we are here. Then after that, this one is where we are doing a register of our RL. So I think now we need to think, check two things. One's the else case, and the other one, first we will see this. So what is this M receiver? This is a process receiver record which contains add receiver. So I think we can go into this, and this is a class inside of process record. Now I'm here and the name is M receivers, and yes, we found. So it's saying array list, sorry, array set of registers here. So it's one thing of our observer pattern. Just like if you are aware of what is observer pattern, we always have an internal memory where we save. It may be array list, it may be linked hash list. It depends the according to the use case. So in this case, they are saving as a array set, and they have these receivers, and they are adding all those inside of this, and the state info all broadcast receiver in this process. Okay, that is nice. Then what is the next step? We found where we are putting this. I think the next step should be, we can try to check how we are doing unregister. So before going to the unregister, also we can read the else case. So inside as a else case, and also we are putting this inside of that same map. So I think once you register first time, we are going into the null, and then we also save this as a hash key, with a hash map where we have this as a hash key. And then the next time when it will come in, if all those exceptions. And so in this case, if RL is equal to null, then we do this. If it's already there, we don't register again. And then there are some extra checks. And then in the end, what they are doing broadcast filters. So it's good. Now we can move towards first. Now there are two things. It basically, in observer pattern there are three things. One, how you register. Second, how you unregister. Third, how you notify. So I think unregister is easier, because I'm sure that should be available in the same class, because we call like this in main, and we always say okay unregister and then put the receiver. So where we are here. So unregister, there should be in u, unregister receiver. So this is the method, and what we do, okay, we are again getting, so once we call unregister at some point from the AIDL, the receiver is coming, and we are going in the same hash map. We get this, if RL is not null. Yeah, that should not be null in my opinion, because if you register something, then you will do the unregister. And if there is something is not registered and you try to do unregister, so it depends, maybe they can crash, we will see, or maybe they ignore. So in this case, once is not this, what they do check get matching order receiver queue. Okay, it's queue, it means when they are doing notify, they are doing something here, and they are checking if some kind of a broadcast receiver is already in a queue. What they are checking, okay, receiver log, do next, then do this remove receiver. Okay, so we have a add method, and then we have a remove method. So in here, so here we have the add method, the method name, and the remove receiver. So yes, so this you can see add receiver and remove receiver, and that is a set. So now two things are clear.